What is up? I'm Jake Brend here with Cyclone Fanatic and Iowa Everywhere, joined by Andrew Downs of Iowa Everywhere. We are live at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Ames for buckets ahead of the 2025 CyHawk men's basketball game. For those watching back home on YouTube, welcome. For those in the stands here at B-Dubs, thank you for joining us.
For those who have been on YouTube for 6 hours waiting for this, I apologize. I screwed up when I set up the studio. We were not going live at 10:45, but we are here at 4 o'clock.
We are sure here at 4 o'clock. It's getting lively. It's snowing outside. People are coming up to Ames.
Yeah,
I actually grew up coming to this B-Dubs a lot.
Oh, yeah?
When I would go to games with my family, it'd be 50-50. We'd just come to B-Dubs because we knew we could get in here quick, get out of here quick.
You know
2 minutes away from Ames.
Yeah, you know, you feel good about you're going to have a good food selection.
Awesome wings.
You're going to have TVs everywhere. I like how they striped out the black and gold for me. I appreciate that in enemy territory.
They did that just for you.
They did. I appreciate that. I've been here for about an hour, Jake, and I've been looking for like that button that they push to make games closer because I'm a little worried I was going to need that tonight. So I'm trying to scope out where's the button that like gives Iowa, like the 20-point shot.
They definitely
to tie the game late.
They definitely pushed that last night on the free throws.
Yeah, man. Holy cow.
45% from the line for Iowa State. Iowa was, they were only 50%. They had less free throws to shoot, though, so maybe B-Dubs will do that again tonight. They'll press the overtime button. I don't hope that's the case.
They were pressing it like at the end of each quarter. Iowa would make a big shot somebody made a big shot at the end of each quarter last night. So yeah, I've been scoping that out. I haven't found it yet, but before I leave, I plan to find that and give my Hawkeyes a chance tonight because it doesn't look real good for the Hawkeyes right now, Jake. It's not just tonight. Like, we're on the verge of a historic sweep in the CyHawk series. Now, not every sport, and I feel confident that I was going to get the baseball win, but
women's field hockey as well.
Yeah, we'll get that. The major sports, though, I talked about this on Two Guys. Was it last week when I was with Chris? Because Hassel was gone. It's one thing to sweep this, and it's the first time it'll ever happen that Iowa State, if it happens tonight, that Iowa State is swept football, wrestling, men's and women's basketball. It's one thing to do it. It's another thing, and it's far more impressive, I think, because you're not doing it against the down Iowa athletic department.
No, not at all.
None of these teams are bad. I would say most of them are very good. Iowa's a ranked football team. It's a top 5 wrestling program, a top 15 women's basketball team, and the last team out of the AP poll in men's basketball. And there's a pretty good chance that you sweep all 4 of these games. That's really like a rivalry aside, like a tip of the cap to Jamie Pollard and the Iowa State Athletic Department
for the atmosphere,
what they've done.
Just like, how many years was it that Iowa walks into Jack Trice Stadium and it's 40% Iowa fans?
Yeah, right.
And the entire second half is just "Let's go Hawks" chants. How many times does that happen in wrestling where it's 50-50?
Yeah.
I was at wrestling this year, and it was a true. Like, you still had your good amount of Iowa fans, but
absolutely.
It was your true, like, 75%, 80%. Last night was a really, really good crowd for the women's game, and I expect tonight to be one of the best Hilton atmospheres we've seen in a long time. I'm guessing 95% Iowa State fans. You'll have your 5% Iowa fans that trickle in, but it's going to be electric.
5. Yeah, maybe 5. We have one for sure.
I already met one.
We have one for sure rocking a Patrick McCaffrey jersey. We'll get to that in a little bit. We both drove up here from Des Moines.
Yes.
Not bad when we came.
No.
Obviously, it's continuing to snow. I think it's probably worse north.
Yes.
You've been at a lot of these games. You've been on these roads a lot. Do you anticipate that to affect the crowd at all?
I don't think so. No. It's hard because you know that some people, especially from rural communities, are coming from a couple hours away, and there might be 100 to 200 people that have to bail last second. But I don't anticipate it impacting the crowd.
How about this? Iowa State's up by 20 with 10 minutes left. People start to check their weather apps. The roads are still kind of bad. Maybe we should get out there. get hit the road early. The crowd starts to empty out. The atmosphere dies down a little bit. Bennett starts gets hot. And all of a sudden, like last night, we got ourselves a game late in the game where maybe you didn't expect it, 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, you're talking yourself into it.
I am. This is the most confident I've felt about this game in like a year.
Thinking about the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe they'll leave and we'll have a chance.
I've been in some atmospheres in this building that the Blizzard game against Houston a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
When they were number 2 in the country, there was maybe 10,000 people in the building. But if you shut your eyes and just listened, you couldn't tell that
That's
it was.
the thing.
So whether it's a total sellout tonight or it's 95% full, it's going to feel like it.
Yeah, that place gets loud no matter how many people are there. And this is an Iowa team that really hasn't played in front of the Michigan State crowd for sure, but
I've never thought of that as one of the premier college basketball atmospheres.
And not an atmosphere like they're going to see tonight, because as we were talking about right before we went on the air, there's a lot of different angles at play with this atmosphere in Hilton tonight.
Let me go through 'em.
Yeah.
So if you're an Iowa fan that is tuning in to Iowa Everywhere for the first time this week, I wouldn't believe it, but if you are one of those people, we appreciate you for being here.
Yes, we do.
In less than the last 7 days, Iowa State lost their football coach, their best football coach ever, their football coach of a decade. They hired a new one 3 minutes later. The men's basketball team beat number 1 Purdue. They have not played since. So there's always that next game bump.
In a historic beatdown.
Tied for the biggest margin of victory ever on the number 1 team's court. So unprecedented success. So there's always that bump when you get back of welcoming the team back. Congrats on what you did.
Yep.
This is the first real game at Hilton all year. The best team they've played is probably Elkhorn State, maybe. I don't know. It's Iowa.
Yeah.
So there's the hatred aspect. There is some fans who are upset with administration, how things have gone down. So there's 8 different emotions at play.
Yes.
And it's the number 4 team in the country at home. It's going to be absolutely on fire pregame. Hopefully it's not on fire in the second half. I was trying to explain that to somebody. The best Hilton atmospheres are when the team desperately needs Hilton.
Yes.
So
it's such a good IQ crowd, like a high basketball IQ crowd. You're exactly right. Like they know when they're needed and like when they can actually impact games. I liken it in a lot of ways to Kinnick for Iowa football, where you don't go there to watch the game. You go there to impact the game, and you know that's like you're called upon to do something in that moment. That's what the Hilton crowd is like.
And I would imagine that, like you think back to that Iowa win over Ohio State, the 55-24 game. I'm guessing it was jumping, and it was a great atmosphere that day, but there's no way that was the best Kinnick atmosphere of all time. Because
you can't sustain that.
You don't need the crowd in the fourth quarter when you're up 30, just like Iowa State has had. Like the Kansas atmosphere last year when they got up 10 points at halftime, grew the lead to 20. It was awesome. Yeah. It was loud crowd pops, but you didn't need the crowd in the last 3 minutes.
Right.
That's where I hope, like tonight is a lively atmosphere, loud crowd pops, but I hope that the crowd doesn't have to pull a 2015 Oklahoma game or the BYU game last year to be loud nonstop for the last 10 minutes.
What a tall task for this Hawkeye team to come into this building, against all the things we just kind of laid out, the crowd and the team. But the team itself, man, the way this Iowa State team is playing right now.
We probably should have talked about that before we got 9 minutes into the show.
This Cyclone team is built differently.
Yes.
I think the freshmen and how well they've played really elevates this team to a different level than we even thought in the preseason.
Absolutely. I had kind of gone on record a few different times in the offseason where fans were frustrated that TJ Otzelberger missed out on Oscar Clough and settles for Blake Buchanan, which we knew from sources and that they kind of always viewed it as a 1A, 1B. There were frustrations of well, you can't rely on freshmen because freshmen never play under TJ Otzelberger. And I went against that theory, and I said that is just adamantly not true because Taman Lipsey, Mila Momcilovic, and Tyrese Hunter, TJ's first 3 years were freshmen that started every single game and made an impact. Like, you're just kind of having your I guess, opinions swayed by Omaha Ballou, who was a 5-star not working out.
Yeah.
And Noyes Intrusitis last year. I said, trust me, I think you can bank on one of these freshmen hitting. I never thought all 3 would hit. Right. And I never thought that Torre would hit at the rate that he has. And every time I set a ceiling on him, like Chris Williams last week said, I'd expect him to probably not play that well at Purdue. Matt Painter's an awesome coach.
Right.
First true road game.
He's going to hit a wall at some point.
They're probably going to make an adjustment. And I still think he probably will put a wall, but I feel like an idiot continuing to try and put that wall in front of him.
Yes, as he keeps breaking through walls. Who's the best point guard in this game tonight? And, like, looking back 5 years from now, will it be Torre? Like, I mean, I think he's that good. I think there is a chance that looking back, I don't think he's going to. I think his defense on Bennett Sturts will be really interesting tonight. I think that matchup will be interesting. I think Lipsey and Sturts will be interesting. I would give Sturts the nod right now.
Yeah.
But man, Killian Torre.
It's fascinating because
has so impressed me.
It's fascinating if we want to look back in 5 years and ask who had the best college career out of all those players. I'm going to say Taman Lipsey, based off of what he's already accomplished.
Yes.
And where I think that he's playing at this level as a senior. Who has the highest NBA ceiling? I think that's Killian Torre.
I think you're probably right.
Who has the highest NBA floor? There's no doubt that that's Bennett Sturts.
Yes.
Bennett Sturts is a guaranteed rotation NBA player. Worst case scenario, he is an AJ Green type player.
Yeah.
Who his primary job isn't handling the ball, and he's a knockdown shooter, and when he needs to run the bench unit, he can do that.
And you feel like he's the type of guy who can kind of adjust to whatever is needed on a given team,
Absolutely.
right? And he'll be able to become that knockdown shooter more so than...
He won't be able to dribble the shot clock down to 4 every single night in the NBA, because that just doesn't happen. But if he needs to go into a sharpshooter role and be a really good defender and a good NBA body, he will have the capability to do that too.
He's going to be trying to do that tonight, man. I was going to try to slow this game down as they do every game. It's a very methodical offense, right? The extra passes. I've said it a couple of times. I think all Iowa fans, after 15 years of Fran McCaffrey, are still kind of adjusting to the pace of this offense. The efficiency is fantastic, but it's so much slower. So much driven by those extra passes, and it'll be really interesting to see this kind of who's able to dictate tempo. I have a feeling Iowa State will be able to with that defense and how crushing that can be, and then their transition game out of that. But if Iowa is able to kind of dictate tempo and eat the shot clock and slow this game down, I think that's where Iowa has a chance to keep this close.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of it comes down to shot making when the shot clock is winding down.
Yes.
And in my eyes, there might not be a better team in the country at defending in high pressure situations than Iowa State when that clock gets down to 5 seconds and it's total scramble mode. But Sturts is also one of the best shot makers in the country and also one of the best shot creators, whether it's for himself or for his teammates. It's just a matter of, can you get enough of that? I bet Sturts scores 22, 24 points tonight. Who's going to step up alongside him? Is it Brendan Housen hitting 5 threes?
Is he even going to play?
That's a great point. Is it Fulgaris? Is it Isaiah Howard taking advantage of a couple turnovers? That's the other thing. Iowa State doesn't turn the ball over. If they do turn the ball over and they don't turn Iowa over, that's the path that Iowa draws themselves into victory.
Yeah, Iowa really needs to take care of the ball tonight. You can't give, and again, especially with that crowd, you give Hilton a few chances to like really get up off their butts and get into it. You give a couple of alley-oop slams in transition. That's going to like really put a damper on everything I was trying to do. Now, I like that Bennett Sturts is such a stable presence. He's not going to allow things to get out of hand within his game. But, God, he's got a young, inexperienced team around him. We saw it get out of hand for the most part in East Lansing last week. And that's I think the fear for Iowa fans is it's one thing to be able to keep this game close through 10 minutes and really even through the first half. But Iowa State's going to go on a run at some point. And how do you react to that? How do you punch back when that does happen? And we just haven't seen an Iowa team in this kind of a situation yet.
Yeah, there's also the aspect of the best offenses against Iowa State in the past have been your BYUs, your Illinois. It's these teams that are aggressive and almost, they welcome the double team.
Yes.
And they've got shooters at all 5 positions, and Iowa does have quite a bit of shooters.
They do.
Maybe not all consistent, but they welcome that double team coming. Is Iowa going to up their aggressiveness at all? They don't have to go from 350 tempo in the country to top 50.
Right.
But are they going to adjust their game a little bit to what not Iowa State wants them to do, but what can be successful against Iowa State? And that's a question I'm not in the head of Ben McCollum to make that decision.
That's the thing. I don't think Iowa fans certainly. I mean, you've seen probably more Ben McCollum games.
Yeah.
Following Drake last year than most Iowa fans. You know, we saw a couple of games from Drake last season and 10 games through the first part of this season. But I think most Iowa fans don't know how he's going to adjust to things either pregame or in-game. It's really kind of an X factor in all of this.
Yeah, he is a coach that'll make in-game adjustments. It's just a matter of the levels. Like, we really saw Drake struggle against Texas Tech last year in the NCAA tournament when they didn't have the bodies to do it.
Yes.
Whereas that Missouri game, Missouri, of course, more talent on paper. They were more athletic, but the gap wasn't that wide. That's where McCollum is such a good coach, is if the other team's athleticism is here and his team's here, he can really shrink that gap to make it closer. But we'll see tonight if the gap really is from here to here, how much can you shrink that? And that's where a lot of it, unfortunately, comes down to the incredible basketball analysis of shot variance.
Right.
Because if that's the case, then it does just come down to, can Iowa make 13 threes? And can Iowa State have one of those nights where they had against Mississippi State where they were, I think, 4 of 22? That's where you can maybe talk yourself into it, but that's lame analysis on my end to say shot variance.
If you believe, though, like Chris Williams does, that they've wasted all of their threes, they used them up. Like, maybe that is the case. Maybe they go cold tonight, and you're exactly right. Iowa's going to have to dictate tempo. They're going to have to hit a ton of shots. They're going to have to take care of the ball, not turn the ball over. And honestly, like, beyond that, probably get a little lucky.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm
intrigued.
intrigued
The
to
gap
see
between these teams, talent-wise and experience-wise, is a gulf.
I'm really intrigued to see Joshua Jefferson tonight. He did not have his best game against Purdue, and the team still beat number 1 Purdue by 23 points when Jefferson had 6 turnovers. That has not been who Jefferson's been this season, whether it was out in Las Vegas against Mississippi State. I expect Jefferson to be aggressive, to be assertive against Iowa bigs that are unproven so far at this level. Like, I think Cam Manya's a really nice piece.
He is.
And
a lot of energy.
Tavion Banks, I considered him a big at Drake. And now when I watch in the Big Ten, I'm like, oh, he's more of a wing.
Yes.
How are they going to match up with Jefferson and Buchanan? Because I totally anticipate that being Iowa State's game plan early. I would not be shocked if Jefferson had 8 points by the under 16 in the first half.
You know, and Iowa's been able to hold its own rebounding against like a lot of the lesser teams it's played.
Yeah.
But it got doubled up against Michigan State, and that's going to be an issue all season. It's one of those things we talked about last week on this show. One of those fears that Iowa fans had coming into the season that really showed itself in East Lansing. If you're going to get out rebounded by that amount, it's just going to be really, really difficult to win. And I think Iowa State clearly has a huge advantage in that area tonight.
Yeah, they've got an advantage in it, and they've got the added advantage of Iowa doesn't really want to run after missed shots either.
Yes.
So Iowa State doesn't have to be extremely fearful of crashing the glass and having the repercussions come. Like, you don't do that against BYU.
No.
Because if you do that against
like Fran McCaffrey's Iowa
exactly.
teams.
If you do that against a team like that and you don't get the offensive rebound, then you've got Richie Saunders wide open in the corner for a transition 3. Not that Iowa never runs, but they're not going to do it every single time, and you don't have to be paranoid about it if I'm TJ Otzelberger.
Very interesting. We talked about it again last week. You mentioned it a little bit ago. Who is going to be that other scoring option for Iowa? Probably going to need more than one. Certainly going to need several players in double digits to keep this thing close. Bennett Search is going to have to get his. But yeah, can Fulgaris hit a couple of threes and play bigger than he is down low? Can you get a couple of energy plays from Man Yao and from Tavion Banks? Hausen.
Is he going to play the second half?
Didn't even play, hasn't played much at all. And it's a coach's decision, right? And we don't know what that means. We can speculate. I would imagine he's not playing the level of defense that Ben McCollum demands.
That'd be my guess.
But at some point, and again, we saw this against Michigan State. It was one of the things I was critical about Ben McCollum on was even if Hausen isn't the guy to do the thing you think needs to happen, if you're down by 20 and he's the only guy shooting the ball well, you got to get him back in the game. Right. So it'll be really interesting to see how he plays him or how long he kind of lets these guys figure things out tonight before adjusting on the fly and kind of changing lineups.
Yeah, I know we talked about this last week. You always want what you think is right.
Yeah.
And I've certainly dealt with that a lot early in the TJ Otzelberger era where I'm like, why is Tristan Inaruna not on the floor? This team can't score more than 45 points, and Inaruna is a former 4-star recruit. And you get 5 years down the road and you realize, okay, well, Inaruna definitely wasn't good defensively. They weren't going to win games without defense, and Otzelberger made that commitment that day and said, I don't care what this guy can do on offense. If he can't help us defensively, we're building for down the road. And I have no idea if that's what's going on with Hausen. I know he's capable of making shots. I've seen him make tough shots in person at Hilton Coliseum last year. He's had several big games in his career. He looked pretty good in that first half against Michigan State last week. Is he able to go out, hit a couple early ones, and stay on the court? That's a big question, because if he's on the court, he's probably guarding Nate Heisey, Killian Torrey. And Heisey, you pull up his stats, he's probably at 6 points a game right now, but he's a nonstop cutter. He's always moving without the ball. He's certainly a capable three-point shooter. That's not an easy matchup for a team's quote-unquote worst defender to come in the game to defend.
This is how good Jake Brend is. Nate Heisey is 6.0 points per game.
Okay.
Exactly 6 points a game.
I knew he was 5.6 or something heading into that Purdue game.
My man knows ball. What does this mean for these teams, right? I feel like Iowa fans are going to get in their emotions tonight, assuming they lose, and especially if they lose big. But it all has to be put into perspective, right? This is the first year under Ben McCollum. This is a very, very good team and a snake pit you're going into. Big Ten play. I thought Iowa played well against Maryland. They did what they needed to do against Maryland, and got that win, which was important. I did not want them to go 0-2 in that to start the Big Ten play, or to go 0-3 in this span against these three teams before now you go into a couple of bye games. You get the game in Des Moines next Saturday. And then you get into Big Ten play, where you got a couple of games early in Big Ten play where you can win and kind of get yourself to a good record and again, feel good about yourself. Not a lot to lose for Iowa here other than some fans kind of freaking out. Not a ton on the line for Iowa State either, I guess, unless you lose. But even if you lose, it's one of those games, kind of like Iowa football this year, where late in the season, a lot of national people were, they lost to Iowa State, who's lost a couple of games, but hey, it's a rivalry game,
right.
And so it's neither one of these, it's not going to be a bad loss no matter what happens. So what's on the line for Iowa State tonight, other than the rivalry?
Iowa State's chasing a 1 seed. That's what's on the line. When you're chasing a 1 seed,
every game is important.
Every single game matters. You are afforded probably one home loss, if that. Do you want to waste that home loss against Iowa?
Come on. You give us something, right?
Well, they've got Houston coming in February. It's just you got to look at the schedule and look at the other teams around the country. How many non-con home games are they dropping?
Right.
UConn, they lost to Arizona, but at Arizona, have they lost?
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Right.
Duke.
Yeah, is Michigan going to lose?
Michigan. So that's where you were, especially if you're looking at a top 2 seed, you are comparing yourselves to the other top 7 teams, and you want to get to the finish line as good as possible. And that's what the stakes are.
And that is where the difference in the two programs is right now, because you're right. Like for Iowa, it's like, hey, you can get like a moral victory out of this game tonight by playing well and playing tough and keeping this thing close and having it close at the end, even if you fall short. A win would like skyrocket you to like great heights, and a loss, even if you get blown out by 30, isn't that big of a deal. For Iowa State, it's like, you're right. They've put themselves into a position now where every game is important regardless of the opponent, because they have expectations on their shoulders. They're in conversations of national championship, of 1 seed, of Final Four, and that goes away very quickly. And we've seen it happen under TJ's teams late in the season where, do they get tired? I mean, do teams figure them out? What is? We've seen it kind of fade late in the year, and so that's an interesting dichotomy between these two programs right now.
Yeah, no, it's also the first game they've played since all of that noise. Like, I think internally, I think here at Iowa Everywhere, I think at Cyclone Fanatic, what I watched out in Vegas had kind of been, what's the word? It'd been reassuring what I'd been saying, where I'm like, I think this team is good enough to go to an Elite Eight or a Final Four. But that Purdue game, that's leading off the Field of 68 podcast. That's leading every college basketball show around the country. And they're all saying what I'd been thinking without wanting to completely say it out loud. Right. It's like, this Iowa State team absolutely can win a national championship. Yeah. And we heard a lot of the same stuff last year. And some injuries happened and things went the other way. But that team clearly, I don't think, was ready for that pressure, for that expectation. Is this team? That's something that we will not find out on December 11th. We certainly won't find it out in January. It's going to have to wait a little bit. But I think that is an interesting piece of, everybody's been telling these guys they're good enough. But that's where TJ Otzelberger, being a borderline psychopath, is a good thing.
Yes.
Because he truly, I'll share a funny story. Before Elkhorn State last week, we just come off of covering CyHawk wrestling in the last football game against Oklahoma State. We showed up for the Tuesday press conference ahead of Elkhorn State, and Rob Gray, I'm not going to throw him under the bus because it ended up being a really insightful answer. Rob led off that press conference asking Otzelberger about Purdue. And Otzelberger said, Rob, I'm going to tell you right now, because I respect you and I think you're great at what you do, I'm not going to talk about Purdue until we play Elkhorn State. Yeah. And Rob made a mistake. We all laughed about it, and everything was perfectly fine. But in that answer, Otz gave so much insight to how they truly value playing Elkhorn State and doing what they do more than what the other team does. And they don't care who is wearing the other team's jersey. And to me, so far, I think it's clearly working. Through these 9 games, you're 9-0. Does that carry over again the more people tell you how good you are, what your ceiling is?
Yeah, and now Otzelberger's been there long enough that culture has grown roots, right? Yeah. Within it was one thing the first couple of years where you could see it kind of happening. But now he's been there long enough. These are his players. This is his program fully. And you're right, those roots have kind of taken hold. And it'll be interesting as different things get thrown at the culture, right, to try to break it apart, to find out different challenges that they're going to face, as you just talked about, with all the weight, with the target on your back every night. I mean, Iowa State is putting itself into a position now where they are the hunted, and that's Absolutely. A pelt that every team they play wants to hang on their wall, right? And no matter who you can't have an off night, because everybody's going to have their on night against you.
And it's a double-edged sword, because for guys like Killian Torrey and Blake Buchanan and Jamarian Bateman, they've never really dealt with that feeling.
Right.
That's all Taman Lipsey, Joshua Jefferson, and Milo Momcilovic dealt with last year.
Yes.
I remember that West Virginia game when they went out there, and it was probably the first time since the Hoiberg days where you could tell that they circled Iowa State on their calendar, because the Prom era went so under, and Otzelberger's teams early just snuck up on so many teams. It was that West Virginia game last year where they realized, we're hunted. So those guys know how to deal with it, and I wonder how much they've grown in that regard, and I think a lot of it comes with just ignoring whatever's happening on the outside, ignoring whatever's happening on that other bench, in that other huddle, and just going out and playing Otzelberger basketball, and they've done that to this point this season.
I feel like we've talked a lot about Iowa State. I feel like that's because they're probably the more interesting team. Is there anything about Iowa that we haven't covered that you want to cover? Just so everybody knows, Buckets is a weekly show. I mean, we're going to be going through the rest of the season. Every Thursday night, typically we be on at 8 o'clock. We do plan to go live, and we planned it for it to be Jake and I. There will probably be nights where there are other guys subbed in, other Iowa Everywhere personalities and things. Yeah, we'll have a sixth man come off the bench every now and then, but this is not a one-time thing or a special thing for the CyHawk Showdown. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a brand new show here on Iowa Everywhere, and we're going to do this every Thursday. Again, typically at 8 o'clock. We're not going to do a post-game show. Jake has a lot of Cyclone Fanatic post-game responsibilities, and we'll plug some of that before we get out of here. I don't plan to do an Instant Iowa tonight. If Iowa finds a way to win this game, you better believe
that's a luxury.
I'm taking over the feed, and I'm going live on Insta. I'll be by myself, and I might just laugh for 5 minutes and then turn it off. But if Iowa finds a way to win, I will find a way to do something. I don't expect to be going live tonight at 10 o'clock.
Like you said about Iowa, I'm just intrigued to see what they've learned. It was 9 days ago that they got destroyed at Michigan State, and it was a wake-up call, not for just the players. It was a wake-up call for Ben McCollum. It was a wake-up call for the fan base. I'm intrigued to see how much they've learned from that experience.
Yeah,
and I don't know what they've definitely learned a lot. How much can they put that into action, and how much does it matter when you're playing? Because Michigan State and Iowa State are pretty equal teams, or they're at least within a tier of each other.
Yes,
at worst, they're both Tier 2 college basketball teams right now. At maybe one's Tier 1, one's Tier 2, but they're both above Iowa. And,
no
and they're
doubt.
both really good college basketball atmospheres. And that's a lot of time to think about, hey, what could we have done differently in that setting?
Yeah, it will be a nice chance to see Ben McCollum and kind of what adjustments he's been able to make with his coaching and within this team in the span of a week. And then, if you get down by 20, how do you fight back? How do you answer that? That's the real question. If you find yourself leading by 10 at some point in the game, right? Like you go on some sort of run, you get out hot. How do you answer? How do you hold on to that? How do you respond to that situation? These are things this team, this program hasn't really been through. Certainly not under Ben McCollum.
Absolutely. We're going to talk some women's hoops, but first I went out and interviewed a couple of students that have been outside not Jack Trice Stadium, have been outside Hilton Coliseum since 11 p.m. last night. It's 20 degrees outside right now, which means it was probably 5 degrees outside at some point last night.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
It's like 5 or 6 guys who have been standing outside. Here's what they had to say.
All right, I'm out with the sickos. I was told they got out here to camp out because the cops wouldn't let them out here until 1 a.m. So what time did you guys show up? 12:01 a.m.
Yeah, so pretty much, kind of context, Iowa State University put out an email Sunday telling us the regulations, and they would allow us to start camping out the day of the game at 12:01 a.m. So after the women's game, 12:01 a.m. That's what I said. Okay, all good. But, so pretty much people were out here at like 11 p.m. after the women's game, waiting for the AOK to thumbs up from the Iowa State Police Department, and ever since then we've been out here. So we've been out here overnight.
You guys cold?
Yeah. Sleeping in the tent here was not fun. I was born sleeping in the tent right here. It was not fun.
You guys have any beer blankets or anything like that? Is that not allowed?
Had blankets. Didn't have
Blankets?
Not allowed any beer, alcohol. They won't even let us have a warmer. We can't have any sort of furnace, heater. Pretty much you're out here in the cold with the tents and a prayer.
And each other, right? You guys are having fun?
Oh yeah.
Little body heat.
Bottles of beer on the wall were very fun for half an hour. We went all the way down and we went all the way back up. Started going back down and we cut it
Those
off.
brave soldiers.
I know you guys
man.
have all done this before. before. Is this the coldest camp out you guys have done?
Not.
Kansas 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
When you were in
When it was
Lowell.
misty, yeah, when it was misty.
We made snow forts in that, and we had the igloos going. So
Yep.
there's been colder, but this has definitely been one of the coldest.
Yep.
It's up. Yeah.
Well, and because you guys have done it before, and you're doing it again, I'm sure it's worth it, right?
Always. Always.
Yeah.
What's your game prediction tonight?
Pain.
Yeah.
Actual prediction or by a million?
I generally think that Iowa State, if they can replicate the production of what they did against Purdue here, then it should be Cyclones by like 20+.
That's why you don't wear Iowa gear.
I'm guessing that's the Iowa fan I saw.
Yeah, he wore Caitlin Clark jersey because that's the only thing they really have left to hang on to because we just beat the women's team last night. So
Wait, so you're telling me there's an Iowa fan in line here?
yes, that is correct. They joined about 5
There's
minutes
always
ago.
one.
And you guys were doing what to him? Okay. Good call, guys. Well, stay warm out here. What? 2 hours before they let you in?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Psychos.
I bet their mothers are at home,
man.
very proud. And
That, I mean, honestly though, so cool to have
yeah.
to have that kind of a fan base, to have that kind of a clamoring to get in. I think that's what Iowa fans are like really hoping happens in this Ben McCullum era is the fans get back into it, especially the students get back into it, and there is that kind of, hey, we need to be there early, we need to be there to be loud, we can sleep overnight, intense. I mean, these guys are crazy.
yeah, when I go back into Hilton in 25, 30 minutes, they'll be letting them in now, and it'll be a dead rush to get to the front row. When I left Hilton around 3:30, the line was wrapped about 65% of the way around Hilton.
Jeez.
Which means that there are people continuing. So there's probably the 30 that have been out there since late last night.
Right.
But then as the day goes on and people get done with their finals or people get done with their final papers, then they just trickle in, and the line is built all the way around Hilton. I'm guessing right now as we speak, it's all the way around Hilton.
It is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Even though they're crazy. You did catch up with that Hawkeye fan also.
I did, yes.
All right, I'm here joined by Warner, who made the decision to wear a Caitlin Clark jersey to the camp out. I think he's the only one out here. What led to your decision today?
Just being a big loyal fan. I hate the Cyclones. Hate them big. Don't like them.
And you go to Iowa State?
Iowa State here, yeah.
So that's at least a little valid. Is it worth coming out here in the cold when the line is wrapped almost all the way around Hilton?
It's worth it, yeah.
Do you go to every game?
A lot of them.
Do you wear Iowa stuff to those games?
No.
Iowa State or neutral?
Neutral.
Okay, I can respect that. Well, these guys giving you a hard time around?
Oh yeah, it's happened every year since I've been here.
Have you seen them win here at Hilton?
It's rough.
Well, have fun tonight. Stay safe.
I knew the answer to that question.
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did. Maybe tonight. Maybe tonight's the night. Maybe tonight's the night.
The one time I camped out, because I'm famously not an Iowa State alum, I camped out for the Jordan Bohannon shoe game.
Oh, that's a great game
I guess
to have been at.
camp out isn't the right word.
That's a great game to have been at.
I showed up about 6 hours before and waited in line.
Thanks for the memes.
Yeah, and I was way up in the students. I got a front row ticket to that. Not a fun day. Not a fun day. I'm lucky that I'll have a front row seat tonight. I had a front row seat last night.
Yeah.
To Iowa State's 74-69 win over
What a
the
fun
Iowa
game.
Hawkeyes.
What a fun game that ended up being.
Exactly. Fun.
The first half was incredible. I mean, the first half was like, that's high quality basketball all around.
What was the largest lead? 5 at that point?
Right, exactly.
No one could pull away in the first
and that
half.
was, I mean, Iowa went like 4 or 5 minutes in the second quarter without scoring, but was able to hold off the onslaught from Iowa State. You knew Audie Crooks was going to get hers, and Addie Brown was going to have a good game. I think probably some disappointment in Ava Hayden, and certainly like the types of fouls she had.
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to foul out the way she did, at least
make it worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Make it worth it. But I feel like from an Iowa angle, you got down by 17 in that third quarter, and to come all the way back and make that a game. I think what you saw from Chit Chat Wright especially really kind of gives you some hope moving through the rest of the season.
It's like watching Isaiah Thomas.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, we had seen glimpses of that, but to be able to see it again in a tough place to play against a legit top 10 team, that was really, really kind of the high point, I think, for Iowa.
Being guarded by Ariana Jackson as well.
Yes.
Who, like, that is her job.
Yeah.
She's going to knock down a couple threes each game, but her job is to go and play as tough a perimeter defense as possible.
And she is a difference maker at point guard.
Oh, no.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
I hadn't really watched her play that closely as I did last night, and then of course the high-low game with Audie Crooks. You know, Audie Crooks is a much better player than Monica Sinano was, but it reminded me a lot of that a couple of years ago with Iowa, where like Monica Sinano would score 20 points and dribble twice.
Yes.
You know, they would just get it into her so deep, and then you can't do anything about it. And there was so many times last night where they were able to make that kind of lob entry pass to Audie Crooks, and as an opposing fan, you're just, well, there's another two.
That's the toughest part of the process. It's not making a layup. It's not making the turnaround jumper.
Right.
The toughest part of the entire process is lobbing the ball right.
Yes.
And I asked Addie about it, Addie Brown, that is, after the game. And I just asked, like, well, how much have you guys grown at that? Because it's probably not a part of the game that the casual fan thinks of.
No.
And
it's probably not a part of the game that you learn a lot in high school. I mean, unless you have a player down low who's that dominant. And in women's basketball, it's far less likely than in men's.
Absolutely.
You don't learn how to play like that. So you have to come in and really adjust your entire game to this way of playing.
Yeah, they said that they've got a scout team player that's 6'6". And he makes it impossible to get the ball to Audie, and that's why, I mean,
that's brilliant.
You're never going to be perfect, because there were a couple turnovers on it yesterday.
For sure.
Because these are not chest passes.
No.
These are not bounce passes for the most part. There's a lot of these where you're kind of throwing it up to try and see if Calvin Johnson can just be in the spot to grab it. And that's what it feels like.
It does.
And they're only going to get better at that.
Mm-hmm.
Ava Hayden is 6'4".
Yeah.
Hannah Stolke's played in 2 national championship games. She's super athletic. Like, that was a tough matchup for Audie, and she still pretty much was able to do whatever she wanted for the most part.
Yeah. Iowa State looks really, really good. We talked about it last week. This may be Bill Fennelly's best team, and that's saying something. They hadn't really been tested up until that point. And I do think Iowa's a very good team. And I think that was a good test.
Those teams were equals last night.
Yeah, and they passed that test. And you expect them to do that at home, but to actually see it come together last night for Iowa State, I think now you look ahead, and like I said last night, I mean, these are 2 Sweet 16 caliber teams that we saw go at it last night, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're just balanced is what I felt like. Like, Iowa wasn't able to do a ton inside, and that's normal in a matchup like that. Mm-hmm. But they are going to have nights where Hayden and Stolke can go for 40 combined.
Yes.
And that wasn't the case last night. But then you've also got Chit Chat Wright, who just looks like is scratching the surface of what she could become.
Yes.
She's only a sophomore. Taylor McCabe is a knockdown shooter. Kylie Feuerbach has played in 2 national championships. They've got the 5-star Addie Deal, who didn't play a ton last night.
Journey Houston's been playing really well. She's been a growing part of that team.
Last night did not, I mean, if anything, it probably increased what I thought of Iowa, because I didn't think they played well at all.
Yeah.
And we're still in that game when Iowa State was able to expand the lead to 16 there in the third quarter.
To have as disastrous of a third quarter as Iowa had, and to have it be a 3-4 point game late in the fourth quarter, that says a ton, especially, again, on the road in a really tough environment. It'll be interesting to see how Jan Jensen, I mean, she is famously a down-low coach, right? Like that's like her thing. That was her thing under Lisa Bluter, and then they got their lunch eaten a little bit last night. It'll be interesting to see how she kind of adjusts things moving into Big Ten play.
Luckily for Coach Jensen, I don't think she's going to be facing another Audie Crooks or really anything close to her the rest of the way.
Not until next year in Iowa City.
That's true. There's just nothing. There truly is nothing you can do right now to stop.
Isn't.
Like, the best thing you can do is send doubles, send triples, and hope when the ball's kicked out the Cyclones miss an open shot. And that happened a couple times in the first half last night.
It did.
And that's probably going to be your best strategy going forward. And it's essentially playing roulette at that point.
The other thing I think you should probably be worried about a little bit as an Iowa State fan, and we're nitpicking here with a top 10 team who just had a big win, but you got to get better at the free throw line.
Oh my gosh.
You can't let it get to a hack-a-shack thing where you throw enough bodies and enough fouls at Audie Crooks that you can kind of mitigate her because she's only going to shoot 50% from the line. The team shot 45%, 9 to 20. Iowa wasn't any better, 6 to 12. That was a tough thing for both teams. But for an Iowa State team who now has probably Elite Eight beyond aspirations, that's going to be important, as we know, not just in the Big 12, but certainly in March. You can't be 50% or below from the line and expect to beat some of these teams.
Yeah, and Jada Williams was shooting 96% on the year heading into last night and goes 0 for 2. And if she makes one of them, the game's probably over
was
at that
a big
point.
moment, too.
Addie Brown missed a couple. She's always been a good free throw shooter. Audie has really improved her free throw shooting this year. There's just going to be some nights, but there was a point last night where they could have lost that game. If Kenzie Hare doesn't block Taylor McCabe's shot, anytime Taylor McCabe shoots the ball, I assume it's going in.
Yes.
If that shot didn't get blocked by Kenzie Hare, we very well could have been talking about a tie game in the closing seconds going into overtime. Granted, Stolke and Hayden were out of the game at that point. Who knows what overtime would have looked like.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Bill Fenley's taken a big, deep breath today saying, okay, I'm glad we overcame that 45% from the line night because it was almost a disaster.
Couple of really good teams that we've gotten and high hopes, I think, moving forward for both of these teams the rest of the season.
It's going to be really fun to watch.
It is.
Especially, like, the Big Ten is always a really, really good women's basketball league. The Big 12 is a little bit down. That happens when you lose Oklahoma and Texas, who were two of the best brands in that conference.
Yeah.
Baylor's a little bit down this year. TCU lost Haley Van Lith to the draft. So Bill Fenley's squad is going to be able to go chase a Big 12 championship. And in the similar vein to what we talked about with the CyHawk men's game, feels like every game that Iowa State's going to play the rest of the way is going to be one of those, well, you can't lose it if you want to win a Big 12 championship. And that's a fun spot to be as a fan.
We got a good crowd here at Buffalo Wild Wings and Ames, man. We're just a couple of hours away from tip-off over at Hilton Coliseum, Iowa State, the men's game. I don't know if I see any other Hawkeyes here with me.
I saw one guy earlier in the back.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Hey, go Hawks. There we go. Interesting game tonight, I think. Hopefully Iowa's able to keep it close. How are you going to have this game covered on Cyclone Fanatic?
On Cyclone Fanatic, I'm going to have game highlights instantly, probably within 20 minutes of the game being over. I'll have my post-game report a few hours after tip where I'll recap everything that TJ Altenberger and key players said from the game. We'll have our full press conferences. We'll have some clips on social media. And then, of course, Chris Williams, the CEO and founder of a media empire called Iowa Everywhere, will be live on Cyclone Fanatic post-game immediately following the game. We got you covered on all bases. And Rob Gray will be writing all over the place.
Two guys live tomorrow morning,
9
a.m. Murph and Andy live at the Des Moines Athletic Club tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. Would love to see you out there. I don't expect to have an instant Iowa tonight, but maybe. Hey, maybe. There's a chance. There's a chance.
The Iowa fan there in the back is
no
shaking
chance.
his head.
Yeah, we'll see. How will the loudest moment tonight be when Jimmy Rogers takes the floor and then pumps up the crowd?
I'm intrigued to see when they do that. I hope they don't do it at halftime.
See, I'm exactly with you. I heard a couple of people earlier today say, "Oh yeah, at halftime when he comes out." Now you do that during a timeout.
Agreed.
Especially if you can have him sitting there and just "Hey Jimmy, we'll bring you out when we need you." Right? If I was on a run and you have to call a timeout, then you bring him out. You have the game ops people kind of have a little flexibility, right? Hey, Red Panda, hold off. We got Jimmy Rogers here. We got to get him out there.
Oh, that's right. Red Panda will be there tonight. So they probably won't do halftime then if that's the case. They pay good money to have the Red Panda come into Ames, Iowa. You're not cutting her halftime show short.
Chris Williams could go out there and stick a stick into her.
She just got back from injury, Williams. You got to be nice.
Be nice to her.
No,
the Jimmy Rogers things will be interesting tonight.
That'll be interesting. I'm still going to say the biggest crowd pop is going to be whenever Killian Torrey has what I've been calling a pick six.
Yeah.
There's not a true word for it, but he seemingly has one game, picks the pocket of the other team and goes the other way for a dunk. And
that's going to happen, and it'll be against Bennett Sturts, and it'll be, it's going to feel like a big moment. It'll probably happen early.
Maybe we'll look back at that video in 6 years and we can compare it to something happening like that in the NBA where Toure and Sturts are going head to head and
it'll be fun.
They're different teams.
Well, hopefully it'll be a fun game tonight. You have fun covering it. We appreciate everybody being out here at Buffalo Wild Wings in Ames. We appreciate everybody joining us on Iowa Everywhere. Buckets, we'll be back next Thursday, 8 o'clock live here on Iowa Everywhere. Thank you so much. If you get a chance, please follow, like, subscribe. It all helps us out. Frequent our advertisers. We love them a lot. All right, Jake, thank you so much, man. Have a good game tonight.